This bank began the year Canada began and grew along with Canada. All along the way, wherever history was being made, the commerce was there. Reliable, progressive, a real working bank. Serving the loggers, the miners, the oilmen. For example, the Commerce Oil Map in Calgary maintains an up-to-the-minute picture of who's drilling where, what's good, what's promising. An important service to customers at Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce.
Bank of Commerce, Bank of Commerce.
One of the world's great banks.
All the way around. Run, you can run. Bad luck's all the way around. Friends see me running, cause I'm become down.
Hi, and welcome to Where It's At from Vancouver. I'm Fred Latrimo, and on today's show, in response to your response to our interviews, which has been very favorable, we have Tommy James and the Shondells, the group with the #1 record, Creedence Clearwater Revival, both on tape for you to watch from recent shows here in Vancouver. The group you've been watching, Mock Duck and Ralph with Joni Taylor.
I'm going down the road then, try and catch a ride. Going down the road then, try and catch a ride. That's it all for my sleep, I'm sinking.
Walk me out in the morning dew. Please walk me out in the morning dew. I can't walk you out in the morning dew. I'm sorry. Can't walk you out in the morning dew. I thought I heard a young man cry. I thought I heard a young man cry. You
That's a powerful song, Morning Dew, and it's been around for a lot of years, but it took little Lulu from England to come up and make it a commercial and acceptable pop hit. And I'm glad she did, because a lot of people sort of have had a chance to listen to it now, know what it's about. Joni, thank you. It was great. I haven't introduced you to Joni's group yet, and they're not really Joni's group, but their name is Ralph. And I thought the best way that you should meet them was with them playing their instruments as only they can, jamming, in other words. And they're going to jam here in a song that you all know, but it may sound a little different, called Comin' Home Baby. Here's Ralph. Clearwater Revival are a second-generation San Francisco rock group who have had 3 successful straight hits in a row, starting with Susie Q, the old Rolling Stones song, and then I Put a Spell on You, which was done first by Screamin' Jay Hawkins, and then Proud Mary. Well, we had a chance to chat with them backstage at their show recently in Vancouver, and the Mock Duck will do I Put a Spell on You in 2 minutes.
From left to right, it's Doug Clifford on drums, Tom Fogarty on rhythm, guitar, and Stu Cook on bass, and John Fogarty on lead guitar. For people who've been together 10 years, you guys must be more of a family than a band. Can you explain possibly why it took you 10 years to make it?
Yeah, right.
Well, that's a good one.
Well, because we didn't decide to do it full
about
time.
10 years.
Yeah, right. Basically, I would say
Lots of
because
bad managers. trusting way too many other people,
Right.
putting our faith in too many other people, and believing too many of those hyped up theories that always creep up in the music business. Like I just said about worrying about, gee, should I be doing this or not? Because what are they going to say? You know, we had, for a time, like our name was the Gollywogs, we had this manager.
How many names have you gone through?
Really only those three. We were the Blue Velvets for 5 years, junior high through high school. And then we thought of a bunch of names, but we never used them. We thought we might be the Visions for a while, but it was really just groping, you know. Then the manager, our first record on Fantasy came out many years ago, and this manager, unbeknown to us, or unannounced to us, had put the name Gollywogs on the record. You know, we didn't know who that was, except it was our record, you know. So that's how we found out our new name. It was a big brainstorm. We wore funny hats and all dressed alike and danced around and all kinds of stuff. And it was really dumb, you know, but if you have a manager, you gotta listen to what he says, right? So instead we got rid of the manager.
You have a new single out called Proud Mary. That's your own composition.
Right.
How do you, well, can you tell me about how that came about to be written and recorded? And why you decided on that from your new album as a single?
It's really the most single-oriented type song. It's, you know, the time is pretty obvious, but there's other songs on it. Good Golly Short also. The Proud Mary's got, like, everything is there. You know, it's got a really good melody. It's the beat is right. You know, it's I don't know. It's really catchy is the way I think of it. It's my favorite tune on the album for tune's sake. You know, for a single that you buy. There's so many things to evaluate music on. You know, it's just got a lot to say, and it says it in a very simple manner in a very short time, which makes it very appealing, I think.
I love you, I'll never leave you, I'll put a spell on you, because you're mine.
by the Mock Duck, and that, incidentally, is their latest single. It's on Baroka Records, available across Canada, so if you wish to, go out and buy a copy. They'll appreciate it. Tommy James and the Shondells, the #1 group with Crimson and Clover, are with us in about 60 seconds to talk about everything from Hanky Panky on.
And you're looking at them right now, one of the most successful groups, in my opinion, over the last year and a half. Tommy James and the Shondells. Welcome to Where It's At, fellas.
Thank you.
Seeing as how this is the first time a lot of Canadian people, young people, will have seen you, maybe you could introduce yourselves from left to right this way.
Okay, my name's Eddie Gray.
What do you play, Eddie?
Guitar, lead guitar.
Mike Vale, I'm the bassist.
Fred Schwartz, Tommy James.
Hailing from Morristown, New Jersey, Pete Lucia drumming.
What kind of music are you into personally and individually? You know, what kind of music do you each dig?
Beethoven.
It's amazing. You know, like I used to be, hung up into it. Like I used to dig like R&B, and then I dug this, and then I dug that. But everything is selling today, from MacArthur Park to Simon Says, or Hanky Panky, And so, since people aren't hung up in a bag, why should, a musician?
Yeah, that's right. Mary Hopkins. Who would have believed that?
You've got to stay very flexible in your taste. I just dig music.
What do you think about where the Beatles are at these days?
I love the things they're doing.
Well, it seems that their last album has proved that any direction they go, man, it's fine. Like, it's more or less, to me, it's a comedy album.
Yeah.
Actually, it's very funny. And
It's a fun album.
Yeah,
It's
right.
just a whole lot of fun happening.
Anything they try is successful, and more power to them.
How heavily do you think England is influencing the States?
It's still quite a bit, I'd say. A lot of people think the contrary, but I think that England is still where it's at.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot of people still believe that long hair is out there. Actually,
Yeah.
it's just coming more and more.
In England, everybody has long hair back here. Harold Wilson.
The agents run around there.
In
The kids in England, like, they know the hit producers, instead of the artists.
Yeah, that's right. It's a real industry. I forgot my name. How do you like touring? Is this one of your first tours?
No. Actually, we did a tour 2 years ago. We hate tours. I personally get crazy when I stay out on the road too long. We go out on the weekends. We just opened our own publishing company, our own production company, and so it keeps us in New York pretty much during the week, and then we go out on the weekend.
What kind of techniques did you use in Crimson and Clover? There's something that happens in the middle of that record.
Well, there's nothing to it once you get the hang of it. No, actually...
You just have to be really afraid of airplanes, is that it? Come right out of the airplane into the studio.
Yeah, well, no, that's not what we did. We actually, people come up to us and ask us, like, what did you do? It's so simple. We just ran the...
Don't tell them that, man. Let them think it's we're tough. Out of sight.
It was really hard.
It's not simple at all.
Tommy James and the Shondells. Here's a song that the Mothers of Invention recorded. Maybe you mothers should pay some attention to it, by Joni Taylor, called Mom and Dad.
Someone said they made some noise. The cops just shot some girls and boys. You sit at home and drink all night. They look too weird, it served them right. Mama, someone said they made some noise. The cops just shot some girls and boys. You'll sit at home and drink all night. They look too weird, it served them right. If I take a minute just to show some real emotion in between the moisture cream and velvet facial lotion, if I tell your kids you're glad that they can think, if I say you love them, if I let them watch you drink, if I wonder why your daughter looks so sad, it's such a drag to have to love a plastic mom and dad. Mama, Mama, the child was killed in the park today, shot by the cops as she quietly lay. By the side of the creeps she knew. They killed her too.
Hey, I hope you've enjoyed our little action-packed show today with Creedence Clearwater Revival talking instead of singing, and with Tommy James and the Shondells talking about things like Hanky Panky, recorded in 1962. I didn't know that. I could have guessed that, but and I hope you'll be back and watch for us in your television guide, whatever area you're in, for Where It's At from Vancouver. We have all kinds of interviews coming up. We've got an interview ready with the Beach Boys, and if you want an interview seen again, write to us, will you? Thank you. Here's Do Re Mi now by the Mock Duck.
Ask me why, tell me why, ask me why cannot I be free? No te lazo me pa me, no te lazo me paso. Ask me why, tell me why, ask me why cannot I be free? Yeah. No te lazo me pa.
Just look what women's up to now. Just look what women's up to now. Driving will never be the same again for you.
Introducing the 1969 Plymouth. Fury. This year it's a whole new car. Longer, wider, completely redesigned from rubber to roofline. Belvedere, our mid-size success car. 26 models, 18 colors, 76 interiors. Valiant, the compact that didn't get bigger, just better. Barracuda, 4 great engines,
3 great bodies, and a torsion bar suspension for true sports car handling. See what Plymouth's up to now at your Plymouth dealers.
Just look what Plymouth's up to now.
I'm looking for somebody to turn me on to it. I don't know who it will be, but I'm in full support of the Maharishi and everything about him.
And I, of course, am not a discotheque crumptum singer. You know, I get up and I sing square songs from places like Broadway and films and all of the music to fall off motorcycles by I don't make, you know.
What sort of music do you dig the most?
Well, I like classical. I like classical and blues.
And they call me the Bronze Liberace.
Bull feathers.
Hello, I'm Fred Latrimo, and this is Where It's At. And of course, we all know that pop music is where it's at, right? And we know this because the media tells us so, especially magazines. Gossip, charts, trends, etc., trend analysis. What do they really tell you? I don't think they tell you very much. In fact, you could throw most of these things away. But what we can do with television is give you an idea of where it's at in the pop music field by x-raying some of the people and having a chat with them about how they feel about the business. All linear communications are out of date, so we got a television magazine show today. For instance, if John Lennon says in print, "I don't know," he might be saying, "I don't know," or he might be saying, "I don't know." So, today, on Where It's At, this is what we're up to. The medium is the message, and we got a television magazine. We'll be talking with Spencer Davis, 1910 Fruitgum Company, Deep Purple, Creedence Clearwater, etc., etc.
Let's talk generally about music. What's happening on the English scene that's really exciting?
Well, to be quite honest with you, not a great deal at the moment. It seems like most of the English groups are over here in the States or in Canada. Sort of Jimi Hendrix spends most of his time over here.
I don't think there's a great deal happening here musically either.
Yeah, you know, the thing is, there's been a sort of kind of a lull in everybody's waiting for something to come out.
Well, what is coming out? What kind of music could we expect to be the next major trend? If there is going to be any trends from now on in, and I doubt it.
We've just been doing what comes out, you know, just recording and whatever sounds best at the time. You don't plot your sound that far in advance. You don't go, well, 6 months from now we're going to sound like a Japanese mariachi band or something. You just do it.
Do you think that because of the popularity of that particular song, that basic rock is going to be there's going to be a revival of it?
I know you have to say that, and it's too bad, but there's a big thing going on right now, one of which is, can white singers sing black music? And the other one is there a rock and roll revival or isn't there? You know, and we kind of feel that there's just no trend on either of those questions. The people who are involved with it, you know, doing it, I don't think sit around and worry about it too much, you know. But it's always those same couple of questions. I threw the other one in because I know you're going to get to it eventually. You know. Okay. It's rock and roll revival. It's every year there's old songs done in a new way, or there's strict rock and roll records because they're always being made, and a few of them make it each year, you know. But it's not like we sat down and said, hey, let's base our sound on, you know, the middle 50s.
You know, every few years, for some reason, the record companies decide that rock and roll is dying, you know. It's been this way ever since the beginning. So they start adding strings and other instruments that somehow don't fit, and lots of big chorus backgrounds and everything. And every time they do this, and these records come out, they seem to make the whole market drop down a little. And every time this happens, then rock and roll comes back even stronger. It just keeps happening.
You're particularly interested in the so-called rock revival that's supposed to have been happening around in London, for example?
London is a very faddish place, I would think. And this week it's rock revival.
Blues.
And next week it's Bonnie and Clyde revival.
Yeah.
And the week after that it's some other kind of revival. So I don't think you can trust your ears anymore these days.
Well, Mike Love, it's not just London that's faddish. The whole industry is based on fads. Agents and record companies spend most of their time trying to second-guess the next trend. And sometimes they're natural trends. Sometimes they're manufactured. The hype, when a group or a businessman spend hundreds of thousands of dollars promoting a group or a sound in order to turn it into a trend.
Sometimes a supergroup like the Beatles can start a trend. John Lennon tells me that their next record will be really simple. No overdubbing, anything like that. Just no fiddling with the master, a natural sound.
Well, they're in the position where they can afford to really goof as much as they want in the studio, in studio time and in acceptance. And I wish every group had the opportunity to do that, where it would be accepted for whatever product it was. Unfortunately, the market and the audiences are set up a little bit differently, where there's what's known as promotional hype, which everybody's aware of.
And a lot of groups suffer from that, too.
Yeah, they really do. Sure. It
They
can
get
be a
exposed too
deficit.
fast.
It can be a deficit as much as an asset. You know.
Can you think of any groups? I can think of a couple around.
Moby Grape was.
Yeah.
They were. Yeah. And that Houston group that got overexposed right away. No, the Fever Tree was hyped so much that by the time they played live, no one was ready. You know, they just were over.
And how about the Bosstown sound?
Yeah, that was
different
another
kind of sound.
hype.
They couldn't be good enough because they were there before you even saw them. You were expecting too much.
There are good groups from
And they had
Boston
these
that are suffering
fantastic
from it.
contracts and everything.
Sure.
But they weren't together as people, it seemed, you know, because when they got all the contracts and got all the music and they're fine musicians, some of those people were.
Yeah, we'd have to have harmony. If I can make it.
Yeah.
Then the downfall of a lot of groups.
This is my point of view anyway. There are a lot of groups in the North American continent, a hell of a lot. A lot of groups which feel they should play a certain way. These groups play a certain way and therefore have created, by playing that way, an audience which you call the underground.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
It's a nasty
what do
term.
you
I don't
feel
have to
about
label
that?
things.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. It's
Well,
like hippie. What's it mean? You know?
Exactly. I mean, it could mean you or me. It could mean the guy over there. You know, it could mean,
It used to imply a resistance movement.
sure, but it doesn't anymore. It just
Yeah.
I mean, the underground thing, as far as records is concerned, is a heavy market.
Yeah.
You know, it's as heavy as the teeny.
But is it
bopper
heavy because it's labeled underground, or because it is something? You know. What, for example, in your opinion, John, is underground music?
Well, it's not the 1910 Fruitgum Company. It's
Amen.
about, you know.
Yeah. But what is it?
And bless them. I mean, they're creating
They're
music which has a
satisfying
demand,
a need.
you know, and which is filling a need. So I'm not putting them down. Please, you know, don't get me wrong.
No.
Because maybe that's in their heads. Maybe that's what they want to really play.
Now, when you started out, had you intended to go after that age group to begin with, as a group?
When we first started out, before we got our contract, we were into different things. And when we met our manager, he had the record and gave us the record. And that's how we got into it. We're very pleased with the results.
Who were the people behind you in the beginning? Were they? Give us those two names.
Jeff Katz and Jerry Kasnitz.
They're incredible.
Super.
They really are.
They're
They're going to any other thing. They're going to Super K
Productions.
Right.
Super K.
Super K Productions.
Often there's a thin line between what's good and what's bad, and I don't really believe that what's commercial or, you know, what's expected of you to do is really the thing to do, you know.
Yeah.
Although we've done it many times, you know.
The record company had a tendency at first to try to get us to do, you know, follow the pattern.
Yeah, you know, if you don't have
And
the right
producers,
record
you
at the
know.
right time, you know,
But they're
done the
playing-
way they want it, they put out something off your old album, you know.
I don't see any point at all in doing a number which you don't believe in.
Yeah.
If you play something, you see, music's incredibly personal.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's universal. I mean, because what you eventually produce is going to, you know,
Right,
hit
I
a lot of
understand
people.
We want to, you know, we enjoy playing in person, but we don't enjoy all the business involved. Business has a bad connotation to us, especially nowadays. We've gone through an agency and all that. We've gone through a manager before, and they just don't understand what's going on. And, you know, we're not raving beatniks that, you know, won't have anything to do with straight people. That's not the point, but, you know, put a Dodge in your garage, etc. Yeah, that whole kind of thinking is just, you know, doesn't make it. So we want to put what we think on records, you know, do our music, get it all down, and then put it on records. And it's like committing yourself, you know, here we are. And you can play it back and see what we think about things, because, you know, any other, you know, there's not going to be Creedence Clearwater moccasins or something, you know, with Creedence Clearwater dolls.
Super K is a hype company, and what is called bubblegum music is a fairly successful hype. But that's a rarity because the managers and promoters don't control the market anymore. The days of Colonel Tom Parker, Presley's manager, are over. Naturally, there are trends, like the country music trend, the blues trend, But none of these has really given the music a definite direction. There is something happening now called sort of a spiritual revival. How long it'll last, I don't know.
Well, it's really good. It's a great time because anything can make it. It's not, you don't have to be this or, you had to be, quote, psychedelic before and all this, and you had to be this before that. Long hair, you had to have long hair before that, and you had to have sideburns before that. And now it's just, it's in one of those phases like before the Beatles. I got all of them. Anyway, it's in that phase where anybody can make it. The charts, you look at the top 10, and it's
Those were the
going
days
from
by
no
Ray
one to
Hopkins,
bubblegum.
believe it. Well, it's like one of the big radio programmers, Bill Drake, has predicted within 5 years that there won't, you know, within 3 years or something like that, there won't be a top 40 format. That they'll have to do away with that type of play, which is
thank goodness.
which is a rough thing to go by because a lot of good records and artists have been killed by it.
Well,
you know?
yeah, it's good. Yeah.
Right now, though, the charts do control the business. And who controls the charts? The name Bill Drake was brought up by one of the grassroots. There are about 8 or 10 cities in the States that are barometer areas, and they're called breakout cities. If a record makes good in one of these cities, it's almost sure to hit the top 10. And out of the hundreds of records that are released each week, who decides which 5 or 10 records will be played? Well, the music directors or production managers of the radio stations in those areas, that's who. So that's really who's controlling the music business. How do the groups in England react to this?
I like to play here for the simple reason that I can go on stage and play my instrument, which is the organ, and I know that 90% of the audience are going to be listening to what I'm playing. They're not there to say, oh, that's one of the Deep Purple. What a groovy guy, you know, look at the clothes he's wearing. I must get his autograph because they've been in the
Are you
top
saying
10.
that's what happens in England?
It does.
Still?
We're incredibly chart conscious.
Yeah. And do you think this is largely due to the lack of media and lack of exposure?
It's the only reason.
Yeah.
We have two
what
television
can be done
channels.
to stop that?
More
Surely people
radio,
like you who have some influence.
Well, there's an agent in England called Harold Davidson. He's a big guy, you know. He is interested in starting an English underground movement from a financial point of view. Right?
Yeah.
Which is a drag. I mean, he comes to us and he says, I want to start an English underground, man.
So they've got similar problems in England. And we'll be back in a minute to take a look at some of the other aspects of the pop music business.
Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, feel confident. Stay dry with new Right Guard Antiperspirant, a completely new product from Right Guard. Right Guard Antiperspirant is a new defense against perspiration. It contains a tested agent that checks perspiration wetness. Feel confident. Stay dry. Get new Right Guard Antiperspirant in the silver can.
Staying successful in the pop music field is perhaps even more difficult than breaking in, which we've already discussed is pretty difficult. There are very few overnight wonders. There may suddenly appear on the scene a group who looks big, but in almost every case, they've been working at it for years. Creedence Clearwater took 10 years before they got a hit. How did they manage to stick it out that long?
It's pretty easy, and then again, it isn't. The most obvious thing is, well, we didn't make it, so we had nothing to break up over, you know. We couldn't say, hey, well, I'm going out on my own now because I'm a star, because nobody was, right? Which is probably the biggest reason why groups break up. But I think also it was so good in the first place, you know. It was like when you have an idea and it's really good. It's like we all weren't the only people we knew who played music. You know, like I'm fond of saying, when Doug and I met, I had to decide whether I would join his band or he would join mine. You know, and I chose that he would join my band. You know, and it was about because was farther along. I had a name. You know, the Blue Velvets. Wow.
You cut Hanky Panky in '62?
Yeah, it was really weird. We cut it like 6 years ago. I did it with 4 other musicians.
Do you want to call them that? That's all right. Like,
as a matter of fact, we did it on a 1-track tape recorder in a radio studio. And the record bombed horribly. It was released on a small independent label. I don't even think it got played on the radio. And so 4 years later, in the spring of '66, a disc jockey in Pittsburgh, I don't even remember his name anyway.
Mad Mike
Metrovich.
from Boss Radio.
Picked up the record and played it, and of course nobody had ever heard it before, you know. He played it as an oldie but moldy or whatever. And 4 weeks later the record was #1. in Pittsburgh. You know, I knew nothing about this, you know, because I'm back in Michigan.
We had a tough time getting a record company. We were different, and that our thing wasn't happening at the time, you know, because we were doing it. And we don't understand that, you know. Well, you're not folk and you're not rock, and well, we don't. Folk is dead, and you know all that stuff.
From the groups that we've talked to, I've come to the conclusion that even if you have got talent, it's still a matter of time. Being able to stay in the business long enough to make the contacts, because in the music business, just knowing the people can mean a lot. For example, Vancouver's Poppy family. Terry Jacks met some of the fellas in the Beach Boys a few years ago, and a couple of months ago he went south again to promote the Poppies.
Well, we were sort of really down. Hollywood is such a down scene for an outsider. You can't get any appointments. Everybody says, you know, I'll stick around for a while, but they never give you anything definite. And we just decided to go and look at records that night, and Al was looking at records, too.
Yeah, I was trying to steal them. I didn't have any money at all. I was
You know,
broke.
it's really that way with everybody. It was that way with us, you know. I mean, as far as getting a record company, impossible.
Can't get past the cigars?
No, you can't. You can't do anything, you know.
What are your plans for the Poppy family, or what are the Poppy family's plans for you? Or?
I think we're going to...
Yeah, what are you going to do with us anyway?
We're thinking of recording, you know.
We're going to get together down in L.A. And record and make some records and just see what happens, you know.
Maybe that's what it takes to break in. We'll be back in 2 minutes with more. We were talking about magazines at the beginning of the show, and there have always been music magazines, but there's a new thing happening. This is one of them, and this is another one of them. This is I and Rolling Stone. These magazines aren't too much concerned with what the stars eat for breakfast and what color their eyes are, etc., etc. They're asking what they think. John Lennon, of course, said that the Beatles are more popular than Jesus, caused quite an uproar. Well, the editor of the Rolling Stone, Jan Wenner, says not only that, but they're more popular than the SDS. And if you'll think back, nobody ever asked Elvis Presley what he thought of anything. So why now? Has pop music become the forum for prophets and philosophers?
Talk about how the way how you feel about what's, for example, going on in your country, or what's going on, with young people in the world. You're a young man yourself still, so you're obviously involved in it. But and this song makes me think that you probably are interested in saying something about what's going on.
Yeah, well, I'm not a philosopher. You understand?
Right.
I mean, I don't. And I'm not a learned guy. I don't read the papers a lot, and I really don't keep up on top of it. All I know is that that we do need peace. And as far as the Vietnam thing, anybody, you got to be a fool not to want peace, but you got to be a fool not to fight for something you love. And as far as the Vietnam thing, I wish we would just get in and get out. Either do the job or don't do the job.
Do you tend to sort of throw in your political feelings and thoughts into records?
Well, that's not really a political sort of feeling, It's a sort of more sort of a concern about humanity, because I mean, these people live behind the Iron Curtain aren't really keen on living behind the Iron Curtain. I know this for a fact. I have lots of friends in Czechoslovakia, Hungary. I have friends in East Berlin. East Berlin is one of the most tragic cases, that I know. I mean, there are people in West Germany, for instance, who don't know that West Berlin is an island in the middle of the Russian zone of Germany.
There are sort of three big groups behind the Iron Curtain, and they are the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, and the Spencer Davis Group. You're going to tour Czechoslovakia.
Right.
How do you feel about going back now?
Going to Czechoslovakia. If they asked me to play in Russia tomorrow, I'd go and play in Russia.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, one thing that I must say, that the kids behind the Iron Curtain and the kids, like on both sides of the Iron Curtain, sort of the political differences exist in the heads of state and so on and so forth. I listened to sort of Back in the USSR on the first cut on the Beatles album, and at one stage they stop and they say back in the US, back in the US, back in the USSR, like an equation of USA with USSR. And to me, American imperialism is as bad as Russian imperialism. That's the way I feel.
I enjoy the performing of the music,
And I enjoy raking in the money, you know.
Right.
And
a little rake, a little gardener truck.
as far as message is concerned, I don't really care. As long as I feel that the music, I can warrant a good performance. I mean, music can warrant a good performance from me. I'll do it. You know, I don't care whether it says to, you know, whatever, you know, or chew bubblegum music.
We did a record. Our first record was called Hush. Yeah, sure. We did that number for an LP. Actually, originally it was an LP track. And the reason we did the song was not because the song has any great political or emotional content.
Or intellectual, yeah.
Or intellectual, but because it had an incredible sort of driving, hard rhythm, you know, which
made it.
You know, we felt that was part of us. Yeah. That was the rhythm and the kind of the whole rock side of us. It had a pulse, you know, which we felt was important to do. We did Kentucky Woman for the same reason.
Well, that's where music's going. I don't know. That's where it's going. Back to the basic stuff. Sure, they've done everything they can with overdubs and strings and whatnot.
What about Philoso rock? I hate these little terms. Yeah, but you know, do you try and throw in little things in your songs?
You always want to say something, whether it's, you know, as simple as
well, love and
I
things
love
is very
you.
simple.
Right, you know, that you dig a chick, or is that you want to go in and discuss the social problems and the inequities of society, you know.
We don't.
And a lot of things to talk about.
I mean, you don't even have to think about it or go, I'm gonna do something now that is the way I think, because, you know, that's just going to be the nature of what you do anyway. You know, it's going to be your way of applying it, or the way you work in the studio. You know,
they're not apolitical, but we just have never gotten into politics.
Like Revolution, for example.
No, we haven't gotten into that. We've sung mostly about another side of life, which is more, you know, nicer, lighter things. You know.
Yeah. Some people say that entertainment is sort of removed from politics and should be, you know. Do you think that's right?
Yeah, I think whatever happens is right, really.
And
Some people, some entertainers want to get involved in it, and they really feel a certain way, so that's what they do, and, you know.
Like, it's not your thing to stand up and ask people to burn draft cards and that sort of thing.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I'm a conscientious objector, you know.
Yeah,
I
I'm aware of that.
You know, I mean, I went through the whole scene, and I can understand them burning their cards, because if I didn't have money, you know, which is really that's a pretty strange thing to have bread to be able to fight that off, you know.
More on fantastic Philoso rock in 1 minute.
Spence is kind of an authority on the Beatles. You are, you know, you're a friend
well,
of
theirs.
Well,
I just know them, that they're ordinary people. But
not very many people do.
Oh.
And so let's talk a bit about the space they're in, because they seem to be leading things, or people think so.
Well, they're not really leading things, you know, sort of, the thing is people have strayed away from sort of what the Beatles are doing. The Beatles are just sort of like grooving, you know, and that's sort of the whole thing, you know, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I got mad at George Harrison one time, and irate, because they have an aloofness and an attitude towards things that I don't go along with, which is, oh, well, sort of have to do your own thing, and all this and that, you know. And it's sort of, I think, the reason why England is economically, you know, in trouble. That kind of attitude can permeate a country. Maybe that's an example of that coming out. Anyway, but that song, that particular thesis of that song, I go along with, you see. I mean, using your mind and getting into something and changing it rather than destroying it. Because if you destroy something, you destroy a lot of good with a lot of bad.
Because it can be the greatest thing that ever happened is this youth revolution. I mean, it could either be the greatest thing that happened or the worst thing that could happen, depending on how it's guided.
You have a #1 record in England, which is, I understand, just being released in North America, called Albatross. Tell us a bit about your music and what you're trying to do.
Just trying to generally turn people on.
Mm-hmm.
Rock and roll music getting too esoterical lately, etc., etc.
I expect you'll draw your own conclusions, or have drawn your own conclusions about the effect of pop stars' philosophy on the world, and it's interesting to hear them talk rather than just play. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe you find it dull sometimes, and sometimes it is dull, I think. However, music is feeling, and I think John Fogerty got that across. And feeling is at best hard to put into words in an interview in some crowded hotel room. And that's where it's at.